Picture this. You just got a raise. Not a huge one, maybe 8%, maybe 10. Enough that your monthly paycheck jumped by a few $100s, and enough that, for about a week, you felt like you were finally winning. You did everything right to get here. You showed up early. You took on the extra project. You waited patiently through the review cycle. And when the number finally landed, it felt like proof. Proof that the plan is working. Proof that if you just keep doing this, keep climbing, keep performing, eventually, you'll look up and you'll be free. So you allow yourself something, not something reckless, something reasonable, a nicer apartment because you can finally afford the one with in-unit laundry, a few more dinners out because you've earned it, a subscription here, a slightly better car payment there. None of it feels like a mistake. Each decision on its own is completely defensible. And then, about 6 months later, something strange happens. You check your account balance at the end of the month, and it looks almost identical to what it looked like before the raise. Not worse, the same. The number went up, your life got a little nicer, and somehow your bank account didn't notice the difference. This is the moment most people quietly ask themselves a question they don't say out loud. Am I doing this wrong? You're not broken. You're not bad with money. What happened to you has a name, and it's not a personal failure. It's a design flaw in how humans respond to more. And once you can see it clearly, you can start working around it instead of quietly losing to it every single year of your career. That's what this video is about. Not a shame session, not a lecture about avocado toast. A clear look at the trap, the math behind it, and the exact steps to build a life where a raise actually changes something. If that's useful to you, consider subscribing, because this channel is built entirely around ideas like this one. Let's start with the one-liner that explains everything you just experienced. Spending rises to meet income, but wealth only rises when you interrupt that rise on purpose. Those are two very different outcomes, and almost nobody chooses between them consciously. Your income goes up automatically. Your lifestyle goes up automatically right alongside it, matching it almost perfectly, like water finding its level. Nobody sits down and decides to spend the entire raise. It just happens, one reasonable upgrade at a time, until the gap between what you earn and what you keep is exactly zero. Economists have a term for this: hedonic adaptation. The idea that we adjust to a new standard of living so quickly that it stops registering as an upgrade at all. The nicer apartment becomes just my apartment within a month. The extra dinners out become just how I eat now within a season. Your baseline resets silently every single time your income does. And because the baseline moves without you noticing, it never feels like overspending. It just feels like your life. Now, let's put a number on what this actually costs you, because the abstract version of this problem is easy to ignore and the specific version is not. Let's say you get a raise of $400 a month. That's roughly the difference between a modest cost of living bump and a real promotion. You have two paths in front of you, and they look almost identical in the moment. Path 1, you absorb the raise into your lifestyle, the way most people do. New expenses rise to meet the new income. Your monthly investment contribution stays exactly where it was before the raise. $0 of that $400 goes toward your future. Path 2, you take that same $400, and instead of letting your spending quietly rise to meet it, you route it directly into an investment account. Same raise, same starting point, completely different destination. Assume a long-term average return of 8% a year, which is a reasonable estimate for a broad market index fund held over a long stretch of time. In 10 years, that $400 a month grows into just over $73,000. In 20 years, it's over $235,000. In 30 years, it crosses $600,000 from a single raise, one that in path 1, you never even felt yourself spending. That's the gap, not between rich and poor, between noticing and not noticing, between a raise that quietly evaporates and a raise that quietly compounds. The dollar amount didn't change, only your relationship to it did. Here's the psychological truth underneath that math. The trap isn't spending money. Spending money is fine. The trap is spending automatically at the exact same pace your income grows so that your savings rate never actually moves. You can live well and still build wealth. What you can't do, every single increase in income get absorbed by default, because default is not a strategy. Default is just the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance always leads to the same bank balance, no matter how many raises you get along the way. You might be thinking, but I've worked hard for this. Don't I deserve to enjoy a better lifestyle when I earn more? Completely fair. And that is exactly why the solution here isn't deprivation. It's not never upgrade your life. It's decide the upgrade on purpose instead of letting it happen by default. There's a real difference between choosing to spend more and simply failing to notice that you are. So here is how you actually interrupt the pattern in 5 steps, starting with your very next raise. Step 1, before you touch a single dollar of the increase, calculate the exact number, not some of love my raise. The specific dollar amount down to the cent that separates your new paycheck from your old one. Step 2, split that number, not the rest of your income, in half. 50% goes toward your future, 50% is yours to enjoy, guilt-free, no negotiation required. This isn't about eliminating the reward. It's about making sure the reward has a ceiling. Step 3, automate the investing half immediately, on the same day your new pay rate takes effect. Set up a recurring transfer into your brokerage account for that exact amount timed to your payday. The moment it's automated, it stops being a decision you have to make every month. It just becomes what happens. Step 4, let yourself spend the other half without tracking it, without guilt, and without second guessing. This step matters more than people expect. If the entire system feels like restriction, you will abandon it within a few months. The whole design only works because you've already protected your future half. What's left is genuinely, completely yours. Step 5, repeat this exact process at every single raise, promotion, or bonus for the rest of your career. Not once, every time. This is the part that turns a clever trick into an actual wealth building system. One raise redirected is a nice moment. A decade of raises redirected is the difference between retiring on your terms and working because you have no choice.
Notice what these steps have in common. None of them require you to track every purchase. None of them require willpower in the moment, because the moment where willpower would be tested has been removed entirely. You're not fighting the trap with discipline. You're closing the loophole it lives in. Here's a simple way to picture what's actually happening, because the mechanism is easier to see outside of money entirely. Imagine a bucket with a small hole near the bottom. Every month, water pours in. That's your income. But there's a leak, and the leak scales with the pour. Pour in more water, and somehow the hole seems to widen just enough to let it all drain out at the same rate. The bucket never fills, no matter how much water you add, because the leak and the pour are perfectly matched. What step 1 through 5 actually do is install a valve above the leak. Half the water that comes in gets diverted into a second container before it ever reaches the hole. That second container isn't touched by the leak at all. It just accumulates, quiet, month after month, completely separate from whatever is happening in the first bucket. You still get to enjoy the water in the first bucket. You just stop pretending the leak isn't there. That's the entire strategy. Not more income, not less spending necessarily, just a valve installed before the leak has a chance to work. Let's bring this back to where we started. You got a raise. You did nothing wrong to get here, and you're doing nothing wrong now, sitting with a bank balance that looks the same as it did a year ago. This isn't a character flaw. It's a default setting that almost nobody questions, because almost nobody realizes there's a switch to flip. Here's the 5-step recap. Calculate the exact raise amount. Split it 50-50. Automate the investing half on day 1. Spend the other half freely. Repeat this at every future raise for the rest of your career.
The deeper truth underneath all of this is that security and freedom are not the same reward, even though they get sold to you as the same thing. A bigger paycheck gives you the feeling of security. It's tangible, immediate, and easy to see. But freedom, the actual ability to leave a job you don't love, to take a year off, to stop trading your time for money, only comes from the gap between what you earn and what you keep. Not the size of the number, the size of the gap. And that gap is the one thing lifestyle inflation is specifically designed to close, quietly, raise after raise, unless you decide to protect it on purpose. So here's a real question, and I genuinely like to know the answer in the comments. Are you currently in the stage where your spending is rising right alongside your income without a plan? Have you already built a system, like the one in this video, that catches your raises before your lifestyle does? Either answer is fine. The only